Hey guys, thanks for coming back. Um, I'm pretty sure that the only people who are going to be watching these videos are years down the line if I do manage to be that 1% that manages to do well. Um, then people will go back and watch these videos, as I said in my last one. I'm really not expecting anybody to watch. Um, Unless I become some kind of success story. It's just kind of a place to vent, really. Now, I do want to mention before anything the positives. Um, Last week on Sunday, I rejoined the gym and I went for 3 days straight. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Did well, felt good. Um, I wasn't far off the weights I was lifting, kind of. I think it's more than 6 months ago since I last went, possibly like 8, 9 months. But even then, when I rejoined, I only went for a few weeks. I used to go to a gym that was close to where I worked, and then that job ended, so obviously I stopped going to that gym as it was 40 minutes from home. I used to go straight from work, and I just never rejoined another one. So that's a positive. Another positive is that I got out of my head enough to put a gig on Fiverr. I had a few problems putting that up. I had to make an account, do a test, the test crashed, and it told me I had to wait 92 days to do another test. So I closed the account, opened a new one, did a test, aced it, and I've managed to put the gig up. Yeah, you needed to pass the test before you could post a gig. More positives, possibly a new job starting Monday, but that kind of falls into negatives as well. Other positives, I'm healthy, I'm okay, I've got a few quid in the bank, the family's fine. Oh, the nails, do you notice? My daughter is at that age. I don't mind it. Obviously, I'm meant to be starting a new job Monday. I'll have to remove it before then. But for everyone knows what it's like if you've got a little girl. But as for the positives, that's kind of it. I'm in a bit of a low place at the minute. Very in my head. I've been struggling with putting videos out, telling myself it's stupid. More on the other channel, the Man United channel, the football channel. Telling myself that I'm kidding myself doing it. I wouldn't even call it imposter syndrome. I always feel like imposter syndrome's kind of when you're doing something and it's going well and you kind of tell yourself, no, I'm a fraud. In my case, things aren't going well, so is it imposter syndrome or is it just reality? I'm not sure. But yeah, I have been very in my head about the videos. No one cares, nobody's watching, you're stupid. And more specific to the football things, they're not rewatchable videos. They're dedicated to the here and now. They're dedicated to the match this weekend, the latest transfer gossip. They're not something that in 6 months' time somebody could watch or a year's time. Whereas videos on other things, playing video games, money advice, all kinds of things, they're kind of rewatchable. The stuff I put out, the people that watch in the first 24, 48 hours, the first week max, that's it. Nobody else is going to watch. Do you know what I mean? Because it's irrelevant by that time. So, am I kind of kidding myself in that sense? There's other channels that deal with football. Some just for one club, some for football in general. And they're the same. Nobody's going to rewatch those old videos really. But the people that do watch in the first week or so is in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So, they overcome that problem. And they regularly put out videos, so they might have 200,000 people watching one video on Monday, another video on Tuesday, so obviously that's getting me down a little bit. Again, it might look like a positive that I've got all these things on that I'm going to list now, but I also see it as a negative. So as of right now, I've got this YouTube channel, I've got the football YouTube channel with 24 subscribers, I think, and I don't know, 400 views. Um, I have got two more YouTube channels that I've not put anything on yet. One of them will be linked to a Facebook page I've got, an old business where I changed the name to make it like a comedy meme channel page. So it's got about 1,200 followers, but a lot of those are family and friends, you know, so there's a little bit of like, when they realise it's me doing it, there's a little bit of embarrassment or shame there. But anyway, the 4 YouTube channels, the Facebook page with 1,200 followers, a Twitter account for that. I also want to make an Instagram for that, but I haven't done it yet. And a TikTok as well for the meme page, but I haven't done that yet. I've got the blog, a blog which I write on, which do I share here? I'm a little bit nervous too, but anyway, I've got this blog, and it's just a diary really. There is some fictional works of fiction on there that I've put on, but not nearly enough, you know, and they're all kind of a few chapters, and then, you know, I've moved on to another story, so that's disappointing in itself. And the Fiverr gig, which I mentioned that I've put up, that has been up for around a week now, and I think 3 people have looked at it. No messages, nothing, even though I've offered to do the copywriting for cheap. I've admitted that I'm inexperienced, but you know, I'm good with words, I'm good with psychology, persuasion, human behaviour, good with sales, but you know, no luck so far. So as I say, I've got all those things which seem great on paper, but to me they're just a list of things that aren't working, so it is quite hard. As you can see from my demeanour, you know, I've been ill the last few days as well, so that kind of adds to it. You know, I am quite tired, I am quite sore. So I'm down about the things I've got that aren't working. I'm down about kind of being ill, being off it with the videos. Money. There's money in the bank, you know what I mean? We're not on the street. We've got the house we live in and money and wherever, but it's always an issue, isn't it? Money. And there are things I want to do. You know, there's a person that I want to be, and obviously because of money, responsibilities, I'm not able to just be that person and do what I want to do. I don't even know how to do what I want to do, or if I could make money doing that. Certainly not if I can make a living. So you know, I'm struggling with that every day. And then the writing. It's like a disease. It's like a parasite in your brain. When you have a story in your head and you just keep replaying it and going over it, and you look at different things, you look into characters and their story. Anybody who writes or has ideas on writing will know what I mean. Like, I remember when I was quite young, I read the Harry Potter books, and I remember J.K. Rowling saying that this idea of a boy that's a wizard just would not go away. She just could not get that out of her brain, no matter what she tried, what work she did, what other things she tried to think of. This boy just would not go away, and I'm sure millions of other people have had that same feeling, whether they think they have a good story in their head or a good character or just one good bit of dialogue between 2 people. Once it's in your head, it just burrows, and I've had that for at least 12 years. I remember the first year of university, 2010, when I lived with my ex-girlfriend. I always wanted to write. I always wrote things down, but that was the first time that I had a real story in my head, and I just couldn't get shut of it. I couldn't get rid. So I had to write bits down. Um, and I went through a period then, which some people would call depression, with my partner. You know, I just couldn't put my finger on what was wrong, what I was struggling with. And we weren't really arguing. We weren't that type. We were just drifting apart. And I knew it was down to me just because something wasn't right with me. But I was in uni. I was getting the grants. I was working as well, so I was bringing money in. Plus the savings that we'd taken there. You know, I worked really hard the year before uni, saved a lot of money. So it wasn't money issues. It wasn't work issues. Like I said, I was going to university. I was loving being around these educated people who talked about these different things in psychology and English literature, which I loved. Something just wasn't right, and it's only got worse because it's not just that one story that, by the way, I've never finished. Maybe a year ago, maybe longer, I got a notebook and wrote down every story that was in my head. Um, Even if it wasn't a full story, even if it was just a little idea that I had, I wrote everything down, including that story from university 12 years ago. And I believe there was something like 29 story ideas that were just on their own individual. Don't get me wrong, some of those stories could merge, two, three, four of those stories could merge into one. But there were 29 different ideas. And then there was also, I think, 5 different ideas of short story collections where they all had like a common theme. And in each of those collections there was 4, 5, 6 short stories. So what's that? 25, 30 short stories plus 29 actual stories. You know, it's overwhelming. I do a lot of driving for the work I'm at now, and I struggle to listen to audiobooks because I'm just thinking of my own stories in my head. I have to pause the book and let the thought go through me before I can then concentrate on someone else's story. So I apologise. Sorry. I really have to work on that. Figuring out how to do it. But my thought is, I need to be successful. I need to be doing something from home, something online that can replace my work. So then I can create that free time to write. Once I'm working from home, even if it's 10, 12-hour days, even if it's longer, I won't have to do that commute in the morning. I won't have to work to somebody else's clock. I won't have to, I won't have to clock in at 7 o'clock, which means I have to leave home at 6 o'clock. I eat lunch when they tell me to, whether I'm hungry or not. I leave at this time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a subcontractor, so if I needed to leave at 2 o'clock, if I needed to leave at 12 or whatever, I do the polite thing and go and let them know that I need to leave as early as I can, days in advance if possible. Some subcontractors will just pack up and leave, and I'll put down I finished at 1 o'clock on this day. They don't give a reason. And if they have time off, they just won't show up. They won't even text. Now, if I'm ill, I'll text or call. If I'm on holiday, if I'm going away, I'll give them notice. Do you know what I mean? I'll let them know I'm not in for this week. One, out of kind of respect, it's the nice thing to do. And two, out of, I want this job when I come back. Do you know what I mean? The more you kind of say whatever to this job and do what you want, the more likely they are to say, well, we don't need you anymore. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The job thing at the minute is difficult. I was off for, I think there was 3 weeks in total where there was no work. The first week, I think there might have been 1 or 2 days, but that might have been, I remember I did 2 days work, and then there was either 2 weeks with no work or 3 weeks with no work. And then on week 4. I want to say on week 4, they got me in for a couple of days. Not doing what I was doing before, not doing installs, just going around doing repairs, jobs that needed a couple of things doing. And I was kind of okay with that, but it started off doing 2 or 3 a day, for like 2 days a week, and then it went up to 6 or 7 a day, and then up to kind of 9, 10 a day, 3 days a week. And then last week they got me back on my first install, and I was supposed to do 2. And I was told that it would be local work, less than an hour's drive. I was promised actually. And then the work came through and it was a 3-hour drive away. And they wanted me to do 2 installs on my own. Because the lad who I'd been training, who was now at a very good standard after being with me for 5 or 6 weeks, in the duration of having no work, he found something else. So it's a 2-man job. On my own, it takes me maybe 4 or 5 hours, whereas with 2 of us, it would take 2 or 3. And they wanted me to drive 3 hours to the job, do the job on my own, and then drive 40 minutes to another job and do another job on my own before driving 3 hours back. And the 3-hour drive there was I left at 5 in the morning, so there wasn't really traffic until I got close. I got there just after 8, and there was a bad smash on the way there, on the opposite side of the road, that I knew was going to hold me up on the way back. I finished that job in just over 4 hours, and it was an easier job. It wasn't as difficult as most jobs, without going too in depth. And I just said no, I can't do the second job. It was getting past 1 o'clock. By the time I'd done the paperwork and I was leaving, and they wanted me to go to another job, and I was like, look, it's saying 3.5 hours if I leave now. I'll be home for 4:30, which isn't a bad time, but I had left the house at 5. If I'd have gone to that other job, I would have been lucky to get there for 1:30. And then even if the job was very straightforward, it still would have been 3 or 4 hours. So you're talking 5:30. 3-hour drive home at that time, 8:30, and I was meant to be in the next day. But I got home, I didn't feel well, I wasn't happy about the job, I wasn't happy about what I was doing tomorrow. And then I was just waking up through the night, pains, headache, earache, my throat was sore, I kept coughing. And then in the morning my muscles were sore. I thought it might be down to the gym, I did 3 days in a row, maybe I went too hard. But with those symptoms, I did a COVID test. It was negative, but I didn't feel well. Maybe I was well enough to go into work, but after what happened the day before, and they wanted me to drive 3 hours back down there to do another install on my own, I just thought, I'm well enough to go to work maybe, but I'm not well enough to do something like that I'm unhappy with, so I didn't go. The next day I was meant to go to like 10 different houses and do little jobs. That was the Friday, and I just wasn't feeling it. Again, people would look at my thoughts and behaviour and attitude and they would say depression. I don't know. I wouldn't. I think it's just a rough time. I think I'm just doing what I don't want to do. And when you're doing jobs that you don't want to do, when times are good, they're okay, they're bearable, you might even have fun, you might enjoy it a little bit. But when times are bad and you're doing things you don't want to do, they're really bad. They are really difficult to see, to get through each day, because you just don't want to be there. Waking up in the morning is that bit harder. Driving to the job is that bit tougher. Actually doing that job is that bit more soul destroying. I don't know if everyone else is like this, but I'm just there thinking of a million ways I would rather be spending this day. That I just want to write. Essentially, I want to get up and I know I've got to do the work I need to do to pay the bills. So I'm thinking, I'll get up and work hard for 3 or 4 hours and then just sit and write for a couple of hours and then do some more work. If I'm at home, I can do that. But I've always been the same. I've always been, even when I was a child. If I've got a desk in my room, I'll do more work. If I've got this space where I can go, that's my office, I can do more work. Even as an adult, I've done that. if I had this, I would do this. And it never happens. I think they're just excuses. But yeah, essentially that's where I'm at with that job, and I feel like I'm done with it. I feel like I've clocked out, and it's very difficult for people who know me, my partner. Once I clock out, I'm done. Like, I'm done. So going back in then it feels like it's impossible for me. I've done it in the past, I've gone in, I've done it to my detriment in the past, where I've gone in and I feel like I've had a breakdown, and I've just left work in the middle of the day, said no, I'm not doing any more, I'm done. I'm not caring if I get paid for that day or not, I'm just saying I'm done. So I did start applying for other jobs. I applied for 13 other jobs that's doing similar things, solar electrician. Even though I don't really want to do that work anymore, I thought I need to apply for these jobs first. They're my kind of bread and butter. I know what I'm doing. I can do those for a little bit longer while I try and figure out the online thing. A new job, maybe I'll get that bump and I'll be okay for a few weeks or a couple of months. I applied for 13. Within a couple of hours, I had 7 of them send emails that were automated, or I think 4 of them were automated, 2 were actually somebody getting back to me, and 1 was a phone call just checking my qualifications. I didn't have what they needed. So those 7 were gone straight away within a couple of hours. So I thought, well, this is going great. I had to change my CV to apply for work from home jobs, writing jobs, but in the process of doing that I got a phone call from somebody who was doing a very similar solar electrical jobs to what I'm doing, domestic, but it was for a very big solar company, who seem a lot more organised and well run than the small place I'm working for now. And everything they said just ticked every single box. 1 install, there's always 2 of you, you're never further than an hour and a half away from your home, you get paid travel time, just everything. All your materials are on site, you don't have to deal with all that. At the minute, I'm having to think, what do I need for this job, and go and sort it out, either before work or after work or in my own time. This is all taken away. I'm driving my own van at the minute. This new company will supply me a brand new van, so I can get rid of mine. That's one less thing to pay out. So yeah, that all sounded great. And the guy's gone ahead with that and said he'll give me a call back in the next week. So I'm waiting for that call. Not long after, I got another call from a company and they want me to start Monday. I spoke to them on Thursday and again yesterday, Friday, and they've sent everything to get me in on Monday. Now this one's a bit more commercial, this one's a bit more, I'm going to one place and I'm going to be there for 10 hours, but it's doing solar. But I'm happy to do that for a few weeks until this other job comes up, or I could go there and really enjoy it and just stay there. It's better money, it's longer days, but again, money, it's an hourly rate, so it makes sense to stay there. There's plenty of overtime. The last commercial job I did was for an Amazon warehouse, and I was doing 12-hour days wherever I could. I was doing every Sunday that I could because it was an extra £5 an hour. So I've just got to get into that mindset again and just work as many hours as I can for a few weeks or a couple of months. And the more money I rack up and put aside, that's more freedom it kind of gives me to pursue the things I want to do. That's my thinking anyway, we'll see. Sorry, I think it was like 15 minutes when I started talking about work. The video was recording for 15 minutes and now we're coming up to 25. I do apologise. It was meant to be just a quick video about a few positives and a lot of negatives. But again, like I said, I'm sure there's nobody watching, so it doesn't matter how long these videos go on. For those of you who are watching, whether it's now or years down the line, hopefully I'm a successful person now. Whether it's just working online and that's my living, I really hope so. Or even more successful. Like the pinnacle of success for me would be that I can write full time. That's my job, that's my career. Even if it's not my job or career, even if I've got a couple of businesses that are automated so I don't have to do a lot of the work anymore, or I've sold a business or whatever, any life where my what I do for work or fun or whatever, what I do for 8 hours a day, 8 to 10, 12 hours a day is right. That would be success for me. Whether it makes money or there's money being made elsewhere, basically I don't have to worry about money to the point where I can write and empty my head of all these characters and stories. That would be success for me. The point I was making, those of you who are watching, hopefully I'm at that point when you're watching. But for those of you who are watching and who are in a similar position to me right now, you hate your work, but you have to do it. You don't know what you want to do with your life. I'm 32. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a young man who's trying to figure things out. I've been trying to figure it out for more than 10 years, since I was a kid. You have to keep going. Basically, that's the point I want to make. And that's the point I keep telling myself. You have to keep going. Just go to this job. If it's no good, get another job. Go to that job. Just keep going. Keep plodding along. Just do what you can. It feels like dark times right now. Right now it feels like I'm under a cloud. But I know that there have been times where I'm in the sun. Do you know what I mean? For every time I've been under a dark cloud, there has been a time after that where I've been happier than I could ever be, where I've been going through a great time, and wishing that the feelings could last. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't last forever. The dark times do go, and all you can do is keep going. You might never get there. You might never reach Mordor. You might never throw that ring into the pits of Mount Doom. But you have to keep going. You have to keep trying. You have to go as far as you can. So thank you for watching. For those of you who need some kind words, I hope they've helped. For those of you who need that push, you have it from me. Just keep going. And more than anything, I hope you're okay.